Personally, I'm a massive fan of instant cameras, and it's something which I always end up coming back to. I've had the Instax Wide, I've gone over to Polaroid, and I've even had a Mini 8 and a couple different of the generations of instant cameras throughout the range over the years. And it's nice to see something which does actually have a really good value for money kind of like index, as it does tend to be quite expensive to be able to get into doing instant photography. I do believe Polaroid are probably one of the most fun ones to actually have. However, they don't necessarily really produce quality photos, and they're really expensive to use just in general. This camera that I'm going to be talking about today is interesting from a couple different perspectives, and that is of course the Leica SoFort 2. I remember when the original SoFort came out and it was really quite cool, but first of all, this is the packaging as you're expecting from Leica. Very high quality, very well made. And this is also the cheapest Leica at £349. You can get this in 3 colours, you know, red, black and white. The red one I think is probably my favourite out of the lot. So let's actually just get into the box and show you what it comes with. So first of all, let's undo this. Put that down there. And as you can see, when it comes to this, they've actually printed on the Leica SoFort 2 onto the actual box, which is really quite nice. Again, Leica are usually really quite nice when it does come to their packaging. And here we go. Here is the actual camera. Now the camera is actually got an internal battery, so you do have to charge it up before you start recording. We'll come back to this in a sec. Let's just check to see what else is in the box. So you got your manual. No one really reads them. Well, some of you might read them. I very much don't. I like to just jump in and find all of the things myself, usually. Again, not necessarily the most recommended way of doing it. And then you've got a strap that comes with it. Again, something which I do tend to get other things for the strap. And we've also got a USB to USB-C cable there to charge the actual camera itself. Here we go. The Leica SoFort 2. Really pretty kind of camera, as you would expect from Leica. Its design is absolutely beautiful. They do actually have this really lovely magnetic cap on the actual camera, which kind of, you put it on and then it kind of like clicks into the right angles. So it's all 90 degree, fits it. Because although this camera is really built and designed to be used by this, of course when it comes to the Mini 8 film that you put into the camera, you usually take it in a sort of like a portrait kind of fashion. So it's also designed to be used as a camera in that retrospect as well, in a portrait kind of way. Of course, you got your slot at the top here to put your hand strap on, which is, you know, super useful, or your neck strap coming around to the top. What we got here is a function dial. This is used to change between different filters on the camera, so your black and white sort of like creative film style modes and stuff like that. You got a shutter button and a reset button. This is actually really useful, especially when you've mucked around with the settings enough to realize you actually desperately need to change out. And then you got this advanced wheel here. This is to actually help you print the film, and it's probably one of the most fun parts of the actual thing that when I was using it yesterday, is you can just advance the film and it'll just print out. So I thought that was really quite cool. Coming around to the front again, we've got a selfie mirror there, so you can kind of see and take photos of yourself. I might just do that in a second. You got a flash there and another shutter button there. This shutter button is to be used when it's kind of like in a portrait fashion. It's a little bit easier than just knocking that one down there. Of course, now we come round to, oh yeah, one last thing to mention around the front, sorry, before I forget, is you've actually got the next kind of like effects wheel on the front here. This allows you to change between different filters on the camera. So when it comes to this camera, they're actually quoting 100 plus different kind of like ways you can combine and get different kind of like photos out of this camera, which, you know, is quite cool. Something I would say is that the actual camera is really fingerprint prone, which I feel like I'm going to keep having to come back and clean it off all the fingerprints, as you can tell at the back, in which it's probably good. I actually wipe that off right now. And now we've come to the back of the actual camera, in which they've decided to change the layout. So you go kind of portrait, you got your menu so you can look through all your photos, your back, your play button. So your play button is how you can access the photos that are on the camera already and choose which ones you want to print, and then your function dial there to get into all of the settings to change the bits that you need to change if you so want to. One last thing is on the bottom, we've also got the tripod screw if you want to put it in there. And then you also have a pull-out thing here for your micro SD, and then also your USB-C for charging. Seems to be some sort of like push thing there as well. I don't really know what that's for. The camera does just shoot in JPEG. It's kind of a fun camera, but it's not like a DSLR mirrorless camera or those kind of like in between, which allow you to kind of harness photography a little bit more. This is purely about the experience and giving you a really nice photo to actually use. The camera is actually 5 megapixels, which is decent enough for most cases that you're going to be taking photos in, but you do have that flash there to make sure you get a clean image, which was actually useful last night when I was dressed as Santa taking this little red doohickey about. In terms of like a value, kind of like what's really great about this is you can take photos with your phone if you wanted to, send them over to print. 2, you can actually take photos directly with the camera. That's fantastic. 3, you've got 100 plus different kind of styles you can actually shoot with this camera, which is, a lot of fun to play with. 4, it just looks so damn pretty, doesn't it? It's just a really pretty light. It's absolutely gorgeous. And when I was shooting with it out in Cardiff around the Christmas markets yesterday, that's what people really commented on it about, was the fact it looked really quite pretty. So we're in Cardiff at the moment. I'm going to be taking some photos of the Christmas market because it is November 15th as of when filming this, and it's when all the stalls open and Christmas spirit starts building up. Anyway, first things first, I've got to load some film, so let's come back down a little bit. You're all the way up there, come a little bit further down. I'm going to load the film. So what we need to do to open up the back is just flip that, and there you go. You have the look at the side of it. I feel this is actually really well built. It feels like a really strong hinge, and when you've got the digital display here, it's kind of what you really want to get out of the inside of the actual camera itself. Anyway, let's get the film in. So when you're loading the film, you need to make sure that the yellow dots line up, and then it's just as simple as closing it up. Simple as clicking it in, making sure it folds down underneath, and then closing the camera out. Turn on the camera, you just have to click this, and then you should actually have a film that comes out of the back of the camera at some point soon. It's a little bit slow. There you go, it's going to be ready to take some shots out. It does actually have internal storage in here, so it will actually allow me to download the photos a little bit later on. But let's go and enjoy and take some photos. From taking a photo to actually having it printed out and in your hands, it takes around about 20 seconds, which, you can do in the moment at that time, or you can do it a little bit later, in which it will take you longer than 20 seconds, maybe an entire day. But the process isn't too bad. It could be faster, but also, it works. Also, I noticed a family taking a photo with Patsy Bear in Cardiff at the moment. So I was like, well, let's take a photo for them and give them the actual photo. I wanted to make sure that I, just be anonymous basically. So I took the photo, deleted it off the camera, but I printed it out for them to have as a little memento of the day. Again, what I love about instant cameras is that you can have really honest interactions with people. And it's just a fun thing to have and receive, I guess. I also did this at night when I was dressed as Santa, and people love it. So yeah.
That's such a cool
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Doesn't hurt to be nice sometimes, does it? Anyway, so I'm just going to take a photo of that little beautiful little flower, shall we? Apparently the macro mode actually has quite strong capability to this actual camera. So let's give it a go, shall we? Oh, that's nice. But the other thing is if I don't necessarily like the photos, I don't have to print it out, but I'm going to print it out. So I need to go back to it because it took so long. So you just press the play button, you can go into the gallery of photos that you've actually taken. And you should be able to actually take it off. And it comes out, see? I think it's actually one of my favourite kind of like instant cameras that you can actually get at the moment. It doesn't help that it's also the cheapest Leica camera, which they usually do end up being ridiculously expensive, right? I mean, well, Paddington Bear is in town. I mean, it's important to get a photo of yourself with Paddington Bear, right? I mean, and yeah, I know it's only got a little bit of film on it, but you know, a photo of Paddington Bear, you can't really say no, can you? I think it would be good to say here is the LCD screen is not necessarily the best, but when it comes to instant cameras, they don't usually have an LCD screen, and you're usually guessing what photo you're taking anyway. With this, you have a little bit more of a selective choice, which is actually pretty damn cool. The photos coming out of the SoFort, though, because you're using a digital camera there, are going to be a little bit better exposed and actually incredibly sharp. I have tried out some of the newer Fujifilm instant cameras because I started out with an Instax wide, which kind of did photos quite well, and I liked the format of it, but either it wasn't very sharp or the colour, the metering just didn't work very well. But the photos coming out of this one, they're actually coming out really sharp, really nice colours, and overall really impressed. I've only printed 4 of these so far, not including the ones that I've actually just given away, because, you know, when it comes to instant cameras, people really love them, and, you know, there's a Paddington thing in Cardiff at the moment, and it was a good chance to kind of be like, hey, look at this, what do you think of it? And, you know, the person I showed was actually really impressed by it. What I find amazing about instant cameras is the joy it kind of brings people in the moment you give them a Polaroid in. They start shaking it, which you don't need to do, and it's just an all-round fun experience. Anyway, let's go take some more photos, shoot. That photo was probably a little bit more challenging for the actual camera because you've got a really bright outside and very dark inside. So what I'm going to do now is actually show you how to use the SoFort as a printer. What's really great about it is if we actually come out of that app and then switch over to Leica, all you need to do is make sure that you come into here, go over to SoFort, which is the last one on the menu, I believe. So let's just go there. And then you click Leica SoFort. They'll go through the motions and allow you to connect your phone to this. I've already done this, but it's pretty simple. All it does is ask you to set up a Leica account, make sure the SoFort has access to your photo library inside of your camera, and then, you know, all fun. The only other thing that you have to do when it comes to connecting it is make sure the SoFort is ready to do that. You go into the menu here, you go down to Leica Photos, which is the app that you need to use, and you go pair device. I've already paired my device, like I said, which will allow me to hopefully just connect directly to this. So there you go. As you can see, it's access to my photo gallery. Haven't really got many photos in here other than my cats and some of the stuff that I've used in recent videos. Let's talk about my cat, because most people, when they want to print off a photo, will either be of loved ones or their cats or pets, essentially. So this right here is Ariane. She is my new cat, and she hasn't got a tail, which is kind of sad, but she's really quite awesome. Why am I putting this in this video? Because I'm a cat dad, apparently, and I need to talk about my cat. So all I need to do now is say print photo. It's going to then send that photo over to the SoFort and hopefully print out a photo of my really pretty cat. What's actually interesting, just as this is happening, as you can see, it's kind of like showing the process of the print coming out, which is quite cool, like you would actually see on the back of the actual camera itself, and hopefully the photo will end up looking pretty good. Something that I would say, as compared to with most other kind of like camera connectivity apps, this one I've actually been the most impressed by. There's only a few that I've really actually been kind of like you're really just going to have a lot of fun with this camera, and that's purely what the SoFort is. It's a lot of fun. My conclusion is that the camera is super feature rich. You don't necessarily need to just do the photography on the camera either. You can actually do it via your phones or via your camera, send it to your phone and then print it off as kind of done here. Mostly you're probably going to end up printing a photo of your cats. So here are my cats, here's the other beast that lives with me, and you know, it's just all round a load of fun. I just had a go with some of the filters. This is a light leak, it's not quite developed yet. This is a light leak on a photo with a sort of vivid style to it. You can do a lot with this camera, and I really have just touched the surface. I think, like I said, this camera is fun. It's easy to use, it's beautiful in its design, and you know, it just kind of fits into maybe an everyday carry kind of thing, or just something you can generally just enjoy. Megapixel on photo quality doesn't really matter that much anymore. You got to bear in mind, we are so bamboozled by technology these days when it comes to the highest specs of things out there, that something simple, elegant like what you have with this camera, I think is perfect. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, follow and subscribe if you want to see more. Have a good day.